All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are live. Welcome to Poetry Superhighway Live, a special edition of our show. Normally, we have an open reading every week, not every week, every month. I'm getting my projects confused. Every month here on Poetry Superhighway Live, but today, as you may know, we are in the middle of our contest, our 28th annual poetry contest, and today we will be having a conversation with our three poetry contest judges who are with us today. I'm talking a little bit slow because I'm also trying to pay attention to the links I'm pasting into Facebook, hopefully getting that right so people know where to click to join us live. I think I've done that now so I can focus here. Technology, it's very confusing trying to multitask. Anyway, hello, Rick Lupert here, and we're going to have a conversation today with our three poetry contest judges, Nancy Murphy, Salvatore Rosseo, and Terry Nick. I'm really thrilled that you guys are with us. I'm going to talk a little bit about the contest first, and then we'll get right to your questions. We started our contest a couple of weeks ago. Entries are flowing in already. We have over 150 entries so far, not all of which have been sent to you guys yet. A bunch came in today, which will be going out later tonight, so get excited about that. A unique contest, as with every year, a dollar per poem entry. You can enter as many times as you want. The poems are sent to the judges with your names removed. They score them between 0 and 5 points, send them back to me, and at the end we find out who won. And 100% of those entry fees are divided up between the top three scoring poets. Those are our winners. In addition to that, thanks to the generosity of many sponsors, this year at the moment we have 61 sponsors who've donated 165 prizes, and every single year of our contest we have been able to give every single person who has entered a prize just for entering. So you really can't lose in this contest. It's happening now. You can find out how to enter by going to the website poetrysuperhighway.com/PSH and click on the contest link in the banner or in the menu, and you'll see all the entry guidelines, how to enter, and the entry form. There you go. For those of you who are used to our monthly open reading, I'll just let you know that we will be having that in 2 weeks on Sunday, August 10th. So I haven't forgotten about our open readers. It's a lovely little community of people who come. We get new people every month as well, people from all over the world. It's a cool thing. And it's nice to be able to talk to people who have been participating in Poetry Superhighway for a long time and give you the chance to read a poem. So 2 weeks we'll have our open reading. In the meantime, we're going to be talking to our three contest judges today. If you're watching live on YouTube, you can post questions in the chat there on YouTube, and then I will be happy to pass those questions on to the judges if you happen to have any. In addition, I have a whole bunch of questions to ask them, and I'm really excited to have them with us. I think I've said really excited at least 4 times now, so that's just an indication of how really excited I am, and not at all an indication that I forget what I've been saying and don't have new ways to say the same things, just so you know. So, as I mentioned, this year's judges are Nancy Murphy from Sherman Oaks, California, just around the corner from me. Nancy, we should have carpooled to this event. Salvatore Rosseo from Aberdeen, New Jersey, just around the corner from where I was born in New Jersey, I think. So, Sal, we should have carpooled at that point. And Terry Nickham from Buena Park, California. That's not too close to where I live, but I suppose we could meet for coffee at some point, Terry, if we needed to. Welcome, you guys. Glad you're all here. My first question, and I'm going to go in order, and I'm going to change the order every time. So we're going to go Nancy, Sal, Terry to start, and then Sal, Terry, Nancy, and then Terry, Nancy, Sal, etc., etc. No one has to remember that. I have it written down already. So my first question for you guys to think about is to tell us about yourselves, where you live. I guess I already told people that. What you do for a living, and how you came to poetry. So there you go. So I guess tell us about yourselves, what you do for a living, and how you came to poetry. Nancy, hello.
Hi. It's so nice to be here. I'm excited too. So, I had a career. I'm retired now. I had a long career in underwriting, different kind of writing, high risk commercial insurance. But somewhere around midlife, went through a divorce, and art is a great way to process challenges and difficulties and pain and all of that. So I kind of started taking acting and writing classes and lessons, and really took to poetry. I was a big fan of music and singer-songwriter type of music in the growing up. And I think my first influences were very confessional singer-songwriters. But the more I started writing poetry, taking classes at UCLA and Beyond Baroque and other private teachers and poets, started reading a lot more poetry and just falling in love with poetry. I did take a lot of detours, did some memoir and essay writing, storytelling. I did a one-woman show about turning 60. But I kind of always went back to poetry. It was kind of a touchstone for me. And I've been getting published and writing it for about 25 years. COVID really accelerated. There was a huge amount of offering to online classes. I was doing a daily class with Trisha Faye Hefner, 5 days a week. And by 2022, I got my first book published. So I feel like it's a really great community, and places like Cobalt Cafe, which I had heard about for years because it's been around forever. I had never made it out there to Canoga Park, and I was on the other side of the hill. And now it's like this huge international community that's probably bigger than it ever was in that one place. So a lot of that's happened, and the community's gotten really large, and the response to this poem is really a great measure of that too. So that's it.
That's plenty. Nancy, thank you so much for that. Yeah, glad to have you participate in Cobalt Poets as well. And I see now why you said yes to judging. You're retired, so you had plenty of time. But you come with a great pedigree of poems. I should mention also, I think I forgot to mention this at the beginning, that the three judges all are folks who entered last year's contest and scored in the top five slots. They weren't the winners, but I think you guys were in fourth and fifth place or something like that, right about there. So you come with a great history in this contest and achievement in last year's contest as well. So Nancy, thank you so much. Thank you for being here. Glad to have you. Sal, what about you?
Yeah, so where should I start? Yeah, so for many decades I was blue collar union telecom worker, and worked construction and the like for some time, and mostly data centers, and currently I just project manage data center builds for a financial firm. Um, but yeah, enough about work. So let's go to the art. Yeah, so for poetry, I've been writing, similar to Nancy, since I'm a kid, since high school, and prior to that. I guess it probably started with song lyrics, but definitely inspired by some poetry and in classes, and Shakespeare classes, and mythology, of course, all the epic classics. So yeah, I was writing a lot back when I was younger, and then it just, family and work, every writing and art just took a side, back burner. But then back in, I don't know, 2018, I got into the scene somewhat accidentally through a local library down here in Red Bank. A shout out to my friends at River Read. And they kind of started me on this journey because I met folks that just networked with other writing and poetry groups that were regular, similar to yours, Rick. And then, of course, the pandemic, I hate to say it, a blessing in disguise. I met, a lot of folks from California, all you guys in Cobalt, all the way to Maryland, the Eastern Shore writers, and lots of folks. I won't mention any names because it's way too many to mention. But all those folks and all those experiences kind of inspired me to write more. So I've been definitely more prolific in the past 6 to 7 years than all the previous, decades combined. I don't know what else. What are your other question was, Rick? Sorry.
That's good. That was how you came to poetry, and a little bit about your work as well. Was exactly what we were looking for. Yeah, it seems like the virtual Cobalt wouldn't exist if it weren't for the pandemic and my realization that I could have a venue again without worrying about needing a physical location for it. So there you go. Glad that amidst the terribleness of that situation, that some lovely art and community grew out of it. So thank you, Sal. Terry, back to California. Tell us about you, where what you do in your life, and how you came to poetry.
I'm a native Californian who doesn't intend to leave if I can help it. I'm a former journalist and special education teacher. I'm retired but still advocate for people with special needs. And I've been writing since college and writing poetry since college, which is a long, many moons ago. But after retiring, I, kind of give it more a deeper level of attention. And I've published 3 chapbooks and a full-length collection. And enjoyed doing that and made many friends in the poetry community, which I think really grounds you and gives you hope for all the awful situations that we have to go through.
It's the season of awful situations. It just occurred to me to say, but yeah, I think it's great that you find community in poetry. I think often is a weird thing to say when we're encouraging people to enter in a contest and try to achieve something, but often we're really focused on what we can achieve with our work, like who will accept it, who will validate it, when really it's, I think the primary reason to be involved with art of any kind is because you love the art and you love other people doing it and you love their work, and that's how you thrive. The achievements are a lovely bonus when they come along, but not per se the end game from my perspective anyway. So thank you for that, Terry. All right, well, next question. All 3 of you entered last year's contest. You did well in last year's contest. You were sent a prize of some kind. So my question is about contests in general. Do you enter many contests? Is there anything in particular you have to say about the Poetry Superhighway contest based on your experience? And do you happen to remember what prize you got last year? And we'll start with Sal this time. Sal, how about you?
Yeah. So for the past few years, I do enter contests. I don't know if I'd say regularly. I'd say intermittently. I do it in bouts. I usually hit the same ones every year. Not always. Obviously, I've done Poetry Superhighway since I've been introduced to you guys back, I guess, in 2019. But yeah, so one of the first contests I entered when I started realizing that this could be a thing, poetry, was a North Jersey contest. I won as a newcomer for the topic was global warming. So you just I met all the criteria and I entered 3 poems and I actually won the prize. And there were entrants from across the country for that. Obviously, mostly Jersey, but that was pretty cool. So that was one of the first contests that I won. But yeah, last year I think. I know we get the gift every year. I want to say last year was what's it called? Chola needles? Chola needles? That one. Chola needles. Chola needles.
Cool, sweet. I realized for a minute I thought maybe I'm putting them on the spot, asking them to remember what they got last year. But then I remembered I also sent you these questions in advance, so maybe not. We'll see. But good memory there. Yeah, Chola Needles has been a sponsor of the contest and donating copies of their stuff. So cool. And by the way, Sal, do you? I think you. Can we mention that you also placed in the other place?
Yeah, sure. So Eastern Shore Writers Association has a contest every year called Crossroads Poetry and Microfiction. So I'm one of the 10 finalists, and they'll actually announce the 3 winners this week. So it's a big, exciting week. I think it's this Thursday. So same thing, they'll do it via Zoom. And Nancy Mitchell, who's the poet laureate and someone I know also, she's Salisbury Poet Laureate. She's the judge of that. Yeah, so cool. And that was the second time in 4 years that I've been a finalist for that. So pretty cool.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Frequent contest finalist Salvatore Roseo speaking, ladies and gentlemen. Terry, what about you? Your experience in contests in general, or anything to say about this contest, and do you remember what you got last year?
Book, I had book. And I think I shared it with a couple of people, but it's going out of my. But I do, that's one of the things I do like about this contest is that you get, everybody gets something. And books are often better than any kind of financial reward, let's put it that way. I was fortunate in 2020 to be runner-up or second place for the Steve Cowett Award. That's out of San Diego. When I first retired, I submitted to a poetry contest that Nimrod International Journal holds annually, and I really thought I was very fortunate and was one of the semifinalists in that contest. So I do try to submit fairly frequently to different contests. And I think the thing is, you have to get over the rejection thing, because in a sense it is a numbers game, and you're going to what you send hits with someone else is on the receiving end, and it rings a bell. So I guess that's what I would tell people. Definitely submit to this contest, because there's just a lot in it for you, and others as well.
Yeah, well, thank you for the endorsement there. And yeah, you're right. It's sort of a numbers game in that there are, at least in this contest, I know over 1,000 entries have come every year, and it's not like there's only 3 good poems, but some rise to the top, etc. And your poems are gonna. There's 3 of you. You all have different sensibilities. Some of you, and I've already seen this in the scores, by the way. Some poems, the same poem has been scored high by one of you and low by another. I mean, so I think every poem kind of has a fair shot when you've got 3 different sensibilities looking at it. So it's a good recommendation, Terry. Thank you.
Can I add one other thing? Also, the thing that the judges see all the poems. They don't just see a handful that a bunch of other people have.
Right. There is no security of ahead of time that blocks out some of the poems and only sends some to the judges, which is great for our entrants and maybe not so great for you guys. but there you go.
That is great
good point.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Nancy, how about you? Your experience in contests? Anything you want to say about this contest? And do you remember what you got last year?
Yeah, I'll save that to last. because I'm hoping to run out of time and I just won't be able to get to it. It was a really great book, but I buy and get so many books. It does start to blur. I I just have stacks and stacks of books and I love them. I love my books. So I got another book, which I was thrilled. I don't typically enter a lot of contests unless, because I think there's so many good poets. And I feel like the chance of being the best out of a pool of people, especially when the fees are kind of steep, a lot of contests are more expensive, much more expensive than this one. And they are really money makers for these small presses. And the chance of being that one or second or third even is sometimes, it is really a crapshoot. So I look for contests that will consider a work also for publication, because I think you have a much better chance of getting published than winning a contest or being the top prize. I also look for contests that have like the one that Sal's in, which I'm really excited to. I went to the reading last year and I just submitted for it this year and did not make the finalist. But it's a great reading where you get 10 people get to read really terrific poems. And then there's all that tension, kind of the way you do it, I think, too. You unroll. Well, you do it in order. In that case, they just announce then who the top 3 are. So I like that, where you get a chance to kind of participate in an event, or you get certain level of recognition. And not just for the recognition, but I think a lot of this is just encouragement. When you send things in and you are recognized, it's encouraging, because a lot of it, you are writing in a vacuum and you're getting a lot of rejections, whether it's contests or publications. I remember I also submitted something to Aurora Poetry during COVID, and it was a contest, but it was also for publication. And I won, and it was just like for the season, but it was a fairly significant cash prize. And I was just shocked. I just remember getting that email and thinking it was maybe a scam. Like, what? So it can be really a fun surprise when it happens. And even just to have someone say, I've had, like in Jack Grape's contest, I was told how I ranked, even though I wasn't one of the finalists. Like, just getting some of that feedback is really encouraging. And I also think the process of submitting to a contest or for publication elevates your work. Like, you kind of have to rise to the next level. You're not just, getting something that you're going to read or share with somebody, or maybe even read in an open mic. You're going to now put it together as a professional submission, and you're going to put your best eyes on it and your best hopes and dreams. And I just feel like the process really elevates you as a writer. And I just, yeah. And I love this contest. It's very unique. There's not a bunch of readers telling us which ones we have to judge. We all just get to look at each one, and it's very unique, and I love it. Thanks.
Sweet. Yeah, it's definitely not a moneymaker for us. I'll tell you that. There are moderate expenses with mailing stuff, and when people are paying by credit card, there's credit card fees, which lower the amount of money that we receive. But we still pay the full amount to the winners. People have the opportunity when they pay online to pay that credit card fee, but that's optional. So you're right. It's definitely not a moneymaker. In that sense. There's a bunch of questions that have come into the chat on YouTube, and I'm going to mention one of them and give you the opportunity, if you would like, to put your answers in the chat while the other questions that I have prepared get answered, so that way we can get as much in as possible if you'd like. The first question that I think could benefit from just a chat answer is, do you have any favorite books on writing poetry? So, judges, if you have anything on that, put it in the chat, and I will transfer that over to the YouTube chat or mention it live. The next question I have for you is, I asked you guys to prepare a couple of poems, one by yourself and one by another poet. And so I'd love for you to talk a little bit about maybe who your favorite authors are, read the poem that you picked by whichever author you picked, and let us know why that poem and why that poet. And in this case, it looks like, Nancy, it's your turn to go first. We're going to go Nancy, Sal, and Terry on this one. Nancy, what do you got?
All right. Well, there's so many wonderful poets. I've picked a poem by Mark Strand. He's one of my first loves in poetry. Some of the people that I read early on that I really fell in love with poetry: Neruda, Louise Glick, Jane Hirschfeld, Sylvia Plath, Joy Harjo, Jane Kenyon, Marie Howe. And then there's all these young new poets, Darius Arafat Peckham, a young rising poet, this Singaporean poet I met at AWP, Chim Sher Ting. There's a million LA poets that I love, Victoria Chang, Sarah McClay, one of my teachers, Suzanne Lummis, who I've also studied with, Brendan Constantine, Doug Manuel, Gustavo Hernandez. There's so many. I have so many books. Anyway, I'm going to read this poem. Then should I go ahead and read the poem? Yeah. Okay. All right. So this is from Mark Strand's book, the Pulitzer Prize-winning book called A Blizzard of One. And this is called A Piece of the Storm for Sharon Horvath. From the shadow of domes in the city of domes, a snowflake, a blizzard of one, weightless, entered your room and made its way to the arm of the chair, where you, looking up from your book, saw it the moment it landed. That's all there was to it. No more than a solemn waking to brevity, to the lifting and falling away of attention, swiftly, a time between times, a flowerless funeral. No more than that, except for the feeling that this piece of the storm, which turned into nothing before your eyes, would come back. That someone years hence, sitting as you are now, might say, it's time. The air is ready. The sky has an opening. So I got to hear Mark read this poem at the LA Times Book Festival, and he signed this book for me. And I told him how much I liked that line, and he stopped and said, ah, yes, the sky has an opening.
Yeah.
So it was a really wonderful memory. I love Mark Strand. He's very spare, very existential. I feel like this poem really talks about mortality, the paying attention to detail that I think I love about poetry, and kind of the universality of it. You know, it's this person now, it'll be someone else later. It's all of us. And there's a certain mystical feeling about it at the end. So I think that's
Cool. Well, thank you for bringing that to us. Great poem, great reading of the poem. You have me like desperately seeking air at this point, and the sky after having heard you read that. Well done. Sal, what about you? Favorite authors, and what poem did you bring to us and why?
So it runs the gamut. It really does. There's so many contemporaries and people like James Arthur, Brian Turner, just too many to name. I really like Margaret Atwood. It took me years to realize that the author and the poet were the same person, even though I saw the names and I don't know why it didn't just dawn on me that they were the same person. Of course it did eventually. But yeah, really love Margaret Atwood and so many contemporaries and in the local scene, people that just churn out, chapbooks or just even smaller than just little handmade things. And sometimes those are super inspiring. I really love to read that stuff because, it's got limited exposure and some of it just surprises you. You're like, wow, this could be something big, right? So things like that. The poem I brought is someone else I really admire that I turn to her poetry a lot. And oh, and by the way, and I'm not just saying this, let me just mention my fellow judges here. Terry, I just got introduced to your work, and Nancy and I have actually read in the past years ago on some Zoom things, but I started reading you guys anew, and I'm just blown away. So just you've been added to my current favorites, and not just saying that. So yeah, the one I brought with me, the one I mentioned, Alina Stefanescu. I hope I'm not mispronouncing that. But I love going to that just website, and there's a few poems for the past couple of years, I'll just every once in a while just go read them, and just it just helps me get my bearing, I guess, on what poetry is, right? So I guess Rick, I guess I can just read that, right? I don't know if you're muted. All right, I'm gonna read the poem. So the poem I chose from Alina Stefanescu is called, and this is another thing I love about poems when they just long titles that are part of the poem. This poem is called "Poem with a Line from an Asterisk" on page 15 of Marguerite Yourcenar's Dark Brain of Piranesi. And I might have mispronounced that, but here it goes. We hang this morning over a twine line like laundry between the seesaw and the pendulum. Smoke a few words to feel the vowel catching its breath near the fricative. Sure, no one is braver than I with the lights extinguished. Hell, no one is brighter than you in that putrid blue sun visor. Houseplants bear witness to murder and hold it in use, wordless. Elul me, etc. Revelation crosses the heart by revealing. Oblivation makes art from concealing. Some things we feel aren't worth speaking. I lick the dirt of our latest cenotaph from the midnight I adore on your fingers. Manus ad ferum, baby. Leaf blowers win all their wars. The roof is chipping. The kids are ancient enough to inventory the ways we botched them. This porch is your God's slick Philippic against our existing. I guess a star is a crypt for the script with the sword in its hand.
Another great reading of another great poem, and the title was fantastic, Sal, as well. Thank you so much for sharing that. Really cool to see a poem like that, and also a great tip for people who might be considering entering, who have poems like that where the title is part of the poem. So well done. Also appreciate your love for the other judges' work as well. All right, Terry, how about you? Some of your favorite authors, and what poem did you bring by one of them, and why that poem?
So many favorite ones. I think the first poet that I really latched onto for influence, though, was William Stafford. And I liked his accessibility and his heart. And when I read poems, I'm reading for something to save my life. And I'm basically reading for something that makes me feel what it is to be human. And I think this poem by Bob Hickok does that. He has a series called The Eulogy I Didn't Give, and then a number in parentheses. And this one is number 24. The Eulogy I Didn't Give, 24. My younger brother was afraid of thunder, lightning. My father bought a recording of storms, put it on the stereo, and rocked on the low seat with my brother over and over. until the sound meant comfort, warmth. Much later, my brother became obsessed with meteorology and dreamed of becoming a weatherman. When I finally connected the early fear with the later passion, we were looking down at my father in his coffin. Not my father, but his body, more like an echo of his flesh. No weather on his face. I'd seen him often in a suit, but never wearing a vest. Pajamas would have made more sense. The soft rain of the talking all around us was a cocoon I wanted to live inside. I heard the metronome of my heart and thought of Quakers waiting for silence to open its mouth, of the hope just below the surface of the phrase, keeping time.
Really nice and very different from the other poems as well, Terry. Like Bob Hickok is fantastic. Like his work a lot. Appreciate you bringing him into our fold today. Thank you so much. So the other poem that I asked you to bring was one by yourself, and I appreciate all being willing to put yourself out there with your own work in this context. So if you could read the poem that you brought and maybe give us any kind of insight as to why you picked that for this particular event as an example. And the order that we will go in is Sal, Terry, and Nancy. So Sal, what about you?
Oh yeah, so the poem of mine that I chose was actually the one that was a finalist back in 2022 for the Crossroads contest. And this one actually just got accepted for the forthcoming second issue of By the Way from Way Small Press out of Jersey City. And the title goes into the poem. How cool the bodies of cars, watching my younger cousins smear dog shit on car door handles with sticks, leaving laughter along the curb, pre-pubescent mischief and boredom brimming from out of funeral day dress. My disappointment exacerbated by our grandfather's casket not yet closed, just down the street, and by the crisp of October creeping south of Brooklyn. Remembering how touching the cold, hard skin of the body felt disingenuous and wanting to feel sadder than I did. My honest uncle admitting he had no tears to cry, not then, but later. Too young, remembering sitting on his lap, sipping homemade wine, his brush-wide fingers tapping glass, the warm jug opaque with blood transfusion from longshore days contended on icy docks. His wool-capped cameo a flash behind the line, behind a snarling, fisted Brando seen on the waterfront. Facing my unrecognized godparents for the second of 3 times, my father's hand on my shoulder in nudged introduction. The floral framed backdrop of repose, now classic and faded, as still as afterlife. Happy he got the Buick afterwards. Inherited 5 years new, all 78 and maroon and red. Our family's first car. The gloss of its 2-tone paint, reflective and prompting adjacency. The touch of its cool, hard steel, as genuine as late autumn, chilling the deep, dark ground, reminding the body it's cold.
Stellar reading, Sal. I've seen you read a lot. I don't think ever in the daylight. So this is a whole new experience
That's true. This is
for me.
true.
I now really know what your room looks like in the back. It's a whole different vibe
It's
going
very
on.
true. And by the way, little note about that piece. True story. My grandfather of the same namesake is actually in like a 2-second cameo of On the Waterfront with
That's
Marlon Brando.
cool.
Oh, wow. We have a celebrity related in our midst, ladies and gentlemen. Sal, thank you very much for that good reading. Terry, your poem and why you picked it to bring to us.
Let's see. The poem I'm going to read is one of the ones that I had you post when we did for the Poets of the Week when the judges were honored with that. And it's from my newest chapbook, and that's Sky Leaning Toward Winter, and from Moontide Press. And the reason I chose this one is it has to do with creativity. The letting. It will take a little blood. Most things that count do. There's more where that came from. Make the cut deep and wide. You will have to let go of a lot. Stare at the page with the respect the drowning show the sea. On it, you will put rose petals and a viper's hiss. The kiss you gave and the one ripped from you. The spit of the camel you tried to pet. The cow's wet nose, hay-spackled and warm. The first love song you shared and who you sang with. The brother lost to the waves when you let go his hand. And the fingers that keep grasping, not owning the loss. Your dead mother, still dead. A lock of hair from the child gone missing. The echoing womb from the baby never had. The lullaby you hummed to soothe yourself because you'd forgotten the words, but not the aunt who sang it. It will take a little blood. You will wonder how you've held it all. But after the letting, you will feel like you sang a God-filled aria in a crystal-lit hall to a standing ovation. You will feel like you've done that. You haven't, but the euphoria will last several days. Will see you through to the next time.
Great read, Terry. Nice looking book. A really great book cover you've got. Moontide does a really good job. And I especially love the line, "Your dead mother is still dead." Really well done. And yeah, folks can read that. That's one of the ones that you sent to us for the Poets of the Week page. Although that was technically last week, it's still, of course, available. I'll post the link in the YouTube chat in case anyone wants to click over to the Poetry Superhighway website and read the poems that you guys sent for Poet of the Week last week. So, Terry, thank you very much for that. All right, so you have...
Should I read, Rick?
Yes, you are next up, Nancy. The poem that you brought to us and why.
Okay, thanks. Sorry to cut you off. I thought you might have been moving. Okay. Yeah, so I picked this poem because I write one of my themes that's not in the poems that I selected. I just want to say too, I'm still kind of reeling from those two readings, just beautiful work. And even having read it before, Terry, I really love that piece. And Sal, I love I love the energy of that piece, and beautiful. And it's interesting, there's a theme that we'll see when I read this one, which always happens. I do write a lot about mother loss and motherhood, and they're very closely intertwined for me. I think sometimes we think we've exhausted a theme, but this was something I wrote fairly recently, having written quite a bit about it before. So yeah, so it's just another theme that I write about that's not in that selection. This is called What is Held. My mother was a woven basket carrying warm laundry from the back hall dryer, expanding and narrowing for whatever we needed: towels, oranges, encouragement. Multicolored stripes crisscrossed her body like a lifeline that lost its way home. Sides folding in on themselves, the way things fail. The narrow opening at the top, perfect urn for ashes. I didn't want that Catholic wake with her cold, sleeping body, but I wasn't there. I had my own basket. In it, a tiny infant. When my mother's basket broke, I should have gone home, kept her alive. I'm telling you, I could have. Her final instructions: I should not come back for the funeral. The funeral. She knew. What basket holds that knowing? What a cruel choice I had, save mother or daughter. But my mother decided, fed me from that last basket of bread. I only had to swallow like a baby bird. Thank you.
Really nice last image in that poem as well. Just like pops right into your head, and you see it happening. Nancy, thank you so much for that piece. All right, well, we have heard poems from all three judges, both ones of poems that they like from other poets. We've heard some of their own poems. I'm going to ask just a few questions. The time goes so quickly, and that we could talk about this forever. But in the time that we have left, I want to talk specifically about the entries that you've seen so far, any general comments that you might have on them, and anything specific, the nitty-gritty about what you think might make the score of a poem go up or down. Just, for folks who haven't checked the guidelines yet, the judges are sent the poems. They're asked to score them between 0 and 5 points using quarter point intervals. They send back those scores separately. The three are tallied, and that equals the poem's final score. So which means that they're tasked of giving an actual number somewhere between 0 and 5 to these poems. So what have you thought of the things that have come in so far? Or let me just more specifically, general comments on them, not necessarily what you thought of them. And what are you looking for when you read the poems? And what causes a score to go up or down? And looking at the order, we're going to go Terry, Nancy, and Sal. Terry, how about you?
I've been impressed with the earnestness and depth of feeling in most of the poems that I've read so far. I've been also impressed. Some of the writers poets seem to be taking risks, which to me is a very good thing, and it pushes you as a writer and gets you, helps you to get what you want to say out there sooner. I would encourage people to do that. I would encourage people to look at maybe send. I think most people will send more than one, but you're not always the best judge of your own work. So I would send if you send more than one, I would send like a few that are different from each other. And maybe send the one you're most afraid of.
That's a fantastic piece of advice, as both of those things as well. Terry, thank you very much. Nancy, how about you?
Yeah, it's a wide variety of styles. It's been really interesting. A lot of common themes: loss, love, mortality, nature, but just a lot of different takes on it. Some very interesting work. I think, I guess in terms of, should I kind of say what I'm looking at as well, or what is that part of that
Yeah,
question? Yeah. Um,
absolutely. Answer as detailed as you want.
Yeah, all right. I kind of had a little checklist. I don't run it rigorously through each one. You start getting a feel for them after reading these. But I kind of first look like, does a poem impact me, or how does it impact me? Does it move me, or does it make me think or make me question something? I think that's really important. Like, what is the heart of the poem and how deep does it go? And then I look for craft tools like metaphors and imagery and sensory details, the sounds of the words together, the sonics and the musicality. Those are things that will really enhance a poem. And then I also look for, what's particular or unique about the voice. How much confidence is there with the point of view, and how original is it? And it's really hard. We all write about a lot of the same things, and it's really hard to be original. I guess my suggestions might be to really look at your opening and ending lines. I think they really do a lot of work, and your titles do a lot of heavy lifting on a poem. And think about, the simplest and most elegant way. Poetry is the art of compression. But on the other hand, don't be afraid to develop a poem and go deeper with it. So those are some suggestions. So those are things I kind of look at. I look for a poem that's going to make my pulse quicken, because there's something really interesting there. But it's been really fun to read them, and I'm looking forward to the next batches.
I just want to say we don't have medical insurance that covers your reading of the poems, Nancy. Just so you know, the thought poetry is the art of compression is a really good tip for folks. And I love you really do draw people in with a title and a first line. And then I mentioned this before in another conversation I had. Sometimes the last line of a poem can save a poem, and can really, shoot it up into the sky. Especially if you're not, well, whatever. I mean, that's enough to say about that. So thank you. Well done, Nancy. Sal, how about you?
Yeah, so by the way, I just wanted to state for the record that, you guys being in California and me being over here on the East Coast, you're 3 hours fresher than me. So just putting it out.
You look great.
But all kidding aside, and to reiterate what Nancy and Terry said, I noticed a lot that I could almost tell similar voice or similar topics or similar groupings. So I would almost suggest change it up a bit. Not that all obviously poets have a certain voice, but like Terry mentioned, take that risk, and also I'd like to see what pulls me into the poem is from the get-go is any wordplay. Obviously the title is super important. Someone told me that the title frames your poem, right? So definitely put some work into that title. And sometimes you have some great phrasing or lines that just aren't jiving in your piece, and maybe you can sacrifice that, right? I know this is not a critique, but you sacrifice that for the title, so you actually keep it, right? But I think the title is super important, But more important than anything, I think, is the end. So I definitely saw, again, it's early. I think it's only been, what, 2 weeks. We've gotten some small batches. But I think wordplay and technique are super important, that musicality that Nancy mentioned. But the poem should pull you in and have a little bit of music to it. Take those risks, play with language. I like to see language used in different ways, right? So we can touch on topics that might not be original, but if you're approaching it in an unoriginal or unique way, that's going to grab the reader or the judge into that poem. And that end line is really going to close it out for you. I equate it to like watching a movie, right? If you see a movie and it's just predictable and the ending is predictable, similar with a poem, right? But when you see a movie where it just twists and totally surprises you and you didn't see that coming, I think if you could do that in a poem, which is a short space to do something in, there's some magic there, right? So definitely play with language and work on, not just the whole text of it. And obviously the ending isn't the only thing that's important, but you need to have that turn or something that's just going to surprise the reader, or just kind of tie it all together. So yeah, I don't know, that seems a little vague or repetitive, but yeah, so that's pretty much it. I had a whole bunch of other stuff, I'm sure, to say, but it's escaping me at the moment. But that's the gist of it, Rick.
Sal, thank you, and I appreciate you staying up late to be here in the conversation. What's it? Nigh on 6 p.m.
Yeah, it's almost
over
6
there.
p.m.
It's not
still daylight.
well past time to be doing things like this, for sure. Right. Okay. Well, thank you for all that. We're just really at the end here. I promised you an hour, but I want to just see if you have any other final words of advice or anything that you might say to our entrants that if you had to say one final thing to them, now's your chance to do that. Nancy, let's start with you.
I always say I write primarily for self-discovery. So please yourself with your work and go deep.
Nice. Sal.
I guess I would just want to reiterate, just change up your entries. If you got similar topics or similar forms, change it up. Throw in those different forms. Break the rules. Even if you're doing a form poem, make it new and exciting. Break the rules a little bit, but give a reason, right? Don't just break them for the sake of breaking them. Break them to kind of reflect something that you're trying to establish or relay in your piece, right? So yeah.
Break the rules, ladies and gentlemen. You heard it here first. Thank you, Sal. Terry, what about you?
What I'm looking for in a poem, what I consider a good poem, is something that deeply moves me or greatly amuses me. So there are great poems out there that are humorous, and sometimes the humorous poems it's another way of achieving a depth, of meaning. So don't be afraid to submit humorous poems too. Consider.
Yeah, absolutely. A big fan of humorous poetry myself. I tend to gravitate towards that in what I want to read and what I write most of the time. So you're speaking to my heart, Terry. We are out of time. I want to thank you guys so much for all kinds of things. For being here today, taking time out of your day to do this. It's a lot of work to be a judge in this contest, and this is a whole extra thing. And I can't thank you enough for taking your time. I think that anyone who watched this or will watch this later on will gain invaluable insights from what you have said. to which they can keep in mind as they're putting their entries together. You all said really specific things that people can think about and look at and say, well, I wonder if I should change, do something different or try something different based on what these guys said. That having been said, be true to yourself when entering. Every poem has a fair shot. So keep that in mind if you're considering entering. And Nancy, Sal, and Terry, thank you so much just for the amount of work that you've done so far in scoring these poems and the tremendous amount of work yet to come. The deadline, I believe, is September 27th. You could quote me on that. It might not be correct, but it certainly is correct on the website where it's listed. I think it's about then. And we will be announcing the winners in October at a Poetry Superhighway Live event just like this on Sunday, October 12th at 2 p.m. Before then, there'll be at least 2 Poetry Superhighway Live open readings, one in August and one in September. So you'll still have a chance to call in and read poems if you'd like to. So Nancy, Sal, and Terry, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's
Thanks,
an
Rick.
honor. Thank you. Nice to meet
Good
you
luck.
guys.
Yep. Good luck, everyone.
Good.
Bye. Thanks.
All right, folks, head to poetrysuperhighway.com/PSH. I'm going to shut this thing down and let my judges return to being regular